If you are a woman in retail looking to grow your career, connect with industry leaders, and recharge in a supportive community, the Women in Retail Leadership Summit is the event for you. And to all our male listeners, if you know an amazing female colleague who would benefit from this experience, be sure to pass the word along. Happening at the beautiful Ritz-Carlton Amelia Island in April, registration is now open at womeninretailsummit.com.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Women in Retail Talks, the podcast where C-suite executive women in the retail space share their stories of professional growth, leadership development, personal journeys, and more. I'm Melissa Campanelli, the co-founder of the Women in Retail Leadership Circle, which is a membership-based community of executive women at leading retailers and brands. Today, we have a special episode of Women in Retail Talks, and we're kicking off the new year with it. We're bringing in one of our longtime members and former board members to share her experience with our organization. Her name is Liz Allison, and she's the CEO of Tricoci Salon and Spa, a leader in hair care and styling, results-driven skincare, and professionally inspired hair care products. Today, Liz is going to speak about her experience with women in retail, and we're so happy to have her here. So welcome, Liz.
Thanks, Melissa. I appreciate it. I'm so thrilled to be here today.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you taking the time. I'm just going to jump right in. Since this is about women in retail, I'd love to hear what initially attracted you to become a member of Women in Retail. And once you became a member, what was your first impression of the community?
Oh my gosh. Initially I was just looking for a place to network with other professional women. And I'd heard of women in retail, but I wasn't sure what it was about. And the other thing is that I have a passion for helping other women get a seat at the table. So I really have a big belief in that. So I was looking for a place where I could, number one, network, number two, help other women too, with my knowledge. And so women in retail seemed like a good place. But I was a little bit hesitant at first because sometimes when women get together, there can be this one-upmanship or competition. So I was cautiously optimistic, but I was also a little bit guarded. So I wanted to find a place that I could be my authentic self and get to know and network truly with other professionals. And so I went to my very first event was the famous annual leadership summit, my very first event. And I started at the pinnacle. I mean, it was off the charts, amazing, incredible content. I was blown away. And so from a content perspective and what I learned at the event, it was amazing. But what was most amazing was my first impression of the women that were there. And I went by myself, as I recall. And I was alone. There was, a few hundred people there. I don't remember how many. And I'm like, I don't know. This is uncomfortable. I don't know. And people were so welcoming. During the networking sessions, as an example, people are there to network. They're not there to sit with their own companies and do their own little thing. They want to learn from other people. They want to meet other people. And so the women were incredibly welcome, opening, just amazing and something special. It was a really incredible experience.
That's so great. I love to hear that because we do pride ourselves on, a nice environment, and the people that are part of our community, we're so lucky that they're so welcoming, and we pride ourselves on attracting those kinds of folks. So we appreciate that. Do you remember what year that was, Liz?
I don't. I was at Neiman Marcus at the time, and so it had to have been 2016, maybe.
Right. So it's been a while.
It's been a while. Yeah. It's crazy.
That's great. So can you talk a little bit about how your involvement in WIR has impacted your career and maybe even your leadership approach?
Yeah, for sure. So from a leadership perspective, one thing that assertive women have in common is that I found is that women tend to want to go it alone and figure things out by themselves. And I was like that. I can get it done. I can figure it out between Google and now ChatGPT, but all these other things that I can figure things out myself. What I found was two things, is that by expanding my network, there are subject matter experts on pretty much anything that you want to know about retail and women in retail. There's a subject matter expert somewhere, and it's easy to find them too, and just ask the question like, hey, I have a question about, I want to change my website. I'm thinking about these different platforms. What do you think? you can find someone that uses every single one of those platforms. And so instead of me like doing my own research and taking, 3 weeks to do that, I can pick up the phone, call a couple people, and all of a sudden I have what I think is the answer that I didn't have before. So I think from a leadership perspective, like I used to think that going in alone was a strength. And now what I've learned is by asking for help from other subject matter experts, I can like think differently, speed my learning, and then I can also do the same for them. So it's just more about being in this great community and just helping other women.
That's so interesting. You thought to do it alone, but now you understand the impact and
Yeah,
the power of the community. I love that. That's so
yeah.
cool. So you talked a little bit about the network and that you're able to, easily connect with others as a great sort of resource of WIR. Is there anything else you can point to? Any other sessions maybe that you've gone to, or you mentioned also the summit? Is there anything that you can point to as having a real impact in your professional growth?
Yeah. So let me talk about the summit just for a second, if you don't mind. I'm going to talk about two
Sure.
different things, because this has been big for me. The summit is obviously the pinnacle event that happens every year, and it is filled with content. The thing that I like about the summit is that it's not just keynotes, but the keynotes are incredibly inspirational with like famous women, like famous people are actually on stage. And so like the keynotes are great, but then the small group sessions are also amazing as well. So there's a half day session that you can also go to. I went to Cindy's is it courageous leadership? I think it was
Cindy
her.
Solomon's, yep, courageous
Yeah,
leadership.
it was so good about courageous leadership. That was a small group session. The networking breakouts are really good too, because it's like forced networking, so you don't feel uncomfortable, but it doesn't turn out to feel forced at all. It's like ice breaking, but it's really good. It's fantastic. I used to think, oh, I'll just skip that part, but like, wait, that's not why you're here, Liz. Come on, you need to do it. And I love that part of it now. And then also like the evening events are also great. So there's a chance, have a cocktail, interact with these women. So like that's fantastic. So I get a lot out of the summit, and I always come back from it feeling refreshed and like ready to take on the world. So like that's the first one. But also from a resource perspective, like I read the newsletters religiously. I read them every single time they come out, and it seems so like easy. Now I'm sure not to put it together from your end, but like from my end, it seems like so. But I always get something out of it, whether it's a link to an article or something. I just use it as a resource all the time.
Wow, that's great. I'm so happy to hear that. We do put a lot of work in that newsletter. So,
Yeah, well, good.
and going back to the summit, because I just have to, or the WIR events in general, because I know you've been to some of our regionals as well. Has Can you share a memorable experience or interaction you may have had? I mean, we hear so many stories of, people just kind of bumping into someone and then they end up, companies end up getting purchased, or, products end up getting sold in their stores, et cetera. So can you kind of talk about a memorable experience there?
Yeah. So when I was at the summit, I'll talk about the summit first. When I was at the summit, I actually met people in Dallas that I didn't know existed. Like I didn't know them. I hadn't heard. I mean, I'd heard their names and I knew their companies, of course. But there were people that were actually in my own hometown that I would have loved to get to know. And and at that time when I was living in Dallas, there was Michael's, the Container Store, there was J.C. Penney, there was Neiman Marcus, there was so many different places. And it was great to get to know these women. And so what I was able to do then later is actually meet up with them back in Dallas, and we were able to help each other out. Oftentimes it was referrals on people. That was one big thing from a talent perspective that I really enjoyed is being able to refer people, technology, different thoughts, whatever was happening. But the other one from a memorable experience that is not as well known is the regional events. And so I know that it expanded last year and covered Chicago, where I live today with Tricoci Salon and Spa. But those regional events are pretty spectacular in their own way. So like our Chicago event was a half-day event. It was filled with the locals, as we call it, right? So it's the locals, and it gave us a chance just to take a big event, make it smaller, nice keynotes, great coffee chats, basically. And it was good to get to know people in Chicago that I wouldn't have gotten to know too. So like, I think from a memorable experience, that's one of my favorites. It was in a super cool venue too. So that was fun to get out and meet other women.
Great, great. Yeah, I just want to say one thing to the audience that's listening. Anyone can attend our summit and our on the road events that we've been talking about today. Members do get a discount and other perks, but I just wanted to make sure that they're open to everyone. So if you're interested, please check out our website. I'm so glad that you had a good experience in Chicago. So we talked about the WIR events and some other features of our community, but are there any other ways that WIR has helped you build and maintain meaningful connections with other industry leaders?
Yes, but so this is this is a great question. I'm glad that you asked it. When I think about women in retail, like some people think about the annual summits. If you think about the leadership summit at the top, and then you think about these regional events, there are so many resources beyond that. Like there's tons of resources. So part of the secret sauce is the layered approach, and I'm sure it's intentional on your end, but the layered approach and having different vehicles of content, whether it be the newsletter or like this podcast or whatever it is, there's different ways. What I've been able to do is engage in different forums for different reasons. So like, this is going to sound silly, but the message board is huge. And I know that seems crazy, but if that
I love that.
it's so weird. And you know, I get so much out of it. Someone will say, hey, I'm thinking about doing X. Does anybody have an experience with it? And then you know that people are like saying, oh yeah, I use it. And here's what it is. It takes like 5 seconds to use. So it's things like that's not a meaningful connection maybe, but that's like from a business perspective, I get a ton out of the message board. And one of my 2025 intentions, I don't do New Year's resolutions, is to engage in it even more when I've got a question. Just like put it out there. Like the whole community sees it. Just here, this is my question. And people always respond, which is super cool. But I think the other thing is that because the women are so authentic and welcoming, that it's I don't want to say easy to build meaningful connections, but we have a lot in common to start with. And because it's not open to the entire universe from a leveling perspective and where you are in your career, like this isn't, you know, this is big. From my point of view, I'm able to network with other CEOs. There are so many CEOs that are in this group. And so not only can I network really broad, but I can also narrow my focus down to CEOs as well. And, you know, being a chief executive officer, that can be a lonely job sometimes. And so talking with other women who have been through it, it has been very helpful to me. There's also, from my perspective, a fantastic CEO peer group that there's just a place and time to meet up frequently. And there, you know, it's just a place that we can actually ask each other questions. And like I said, it's a lonely place sometimes being a CEO. So I love that.
That's great. Yeah, the peer groups, we've gotten a lot of great feedback on. That's great. I just wanted to go back for a second. Liz, you talked a little bit about our online content and that you use the newsletter. You've given us so many great examples of how WIR has, you know, you found support from WIR, from our events, from our peer groups, from our forum. And you mentioned earlier the newsletter. I'd love to dig into that a little bit more. What is it that you find so valuable about the newsletter, the inner circle that comes into your mailboxes every Wednesday?
Yep. So the thing I like about the newsletter, number one, it comes to my mailbox every Wednesday. So I don't have to go looking for it. It just shows up. And so it's something that I can skim. And if I find something of interest, which is something every week, I can go deeper. So that's the first thing, is that it's a push versus me going hunting it down. But the second thing is the variety of content. So when you think about the newsletter, it's not just about leadership. Like leadership's incredibly important. It's probably the most important thing, but it's business strategy. It's different ways to network. It's so many different ways that we go across the industry, not just focus on one specific part. It's not just this. It's this plus e-learning. It's this plus business strategy. So it's a lot of different types of content, which I really enjoy.
Perfect. It's no secret that the retail industry is facing some challenges right now. I feel like it's an industry that's always facing different issues and challenges. How does being part of a network like WIR support you with, you know, given this environment?
That's a great question. So, first off, you're so right. Retail is oftentimes has headwinds and also is changing so fast. And if you think about the step change that we keep having, and we talked about e-commerce back in the aughts, that was a step change. Like we're in another one of those really rapid changes in the industry right now. And what I really like is that women in retail is able to pivot really quickly when things come up. And I'm going to give an example that I don't like to talk about because it's in the rearview mirror, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. But it's the COVID. So when you go back to 2020, women in retail was able to pivot really quickly to start providing content about remote work and how to engage teams. It's so funny because now, if you think about it, it's second nature to probably all of us at this point. But then it was not. Working remote, even 2 and 3 days a week, just wasn't done. You just didn't do it in most companies. And some, of course, you did, but you just, and especially in retail, I just never had seen it. Occasionally, for sure. But what had happened is that the women in retail was able to provide these resources. We were able to network and talk about what was going on. Like, how do you inspire and motivate your teams when you haven't seen them for 4 months? Except for on a
Yep.
video. So all of those things, like that's a good example of what happened, but it's still continuing today. So, as we go into AI, all of these changes, it's things like that women in retail works really hard to stay very, very current in addressing what's happening today, not just what has been happening over the last 20 years.
Great. That's a great example. I do remember when that happened, and we did kind of as a group, behind the scenes, really worked hard to get that information out. And I think it was useful. And that's when we started doing the peer groups too, which
That's
has been
right.
such an important part of our membership right now. So I have one more question.
Okay.
So for prospective members listening, could you kind of describe like the essence or unique value of WIR? I mean, there's so many groups out there, communities. So what do you think it is about women in retail that, sort of makes it different or special?
Well, women in retail is very complex and layered. I'll start with saying that, and when I mean complex, I mean in a really good way. So it's layered. It's not just one thing. The group is comprised of women who truly want to be there and want to learn from each other and network and be open to whatever. And it's so different than any other community that I've been in. Sometimes there's like forced things. This never feels forced. Anything that I ever do, it never feels forced. It feels like people are their authentic self. They show up in the way that they want to show up. And you have this chance to meet people that you would have never gotten to meet before, from the keynotes down to anybody. And some, these people also can become your personal friends too. And so when you think about that and you couple that with the resources that are available, it's just something that I just can't imagine not being a part of now. So it's one of those things that I've just been very, very fortunate to have found it, and I love it. It's there.
Great. Well, that makes me I feel like I just got a nice, I was just compliments were just sent over me, a wash over me.
That's great.
But thank you so much, Liz, for being a part of Women in Retail, our community. Thank you so much for taking the time to do this today. We really appreciate your thoughts and your perspectives, and I'll see you at the next event.
I'll see you, Melissa. Thanks so much.
For our listeners wondering about Women in Retail Leadership Circle membership, I wanted to provide a bit more clarity around how membership works. Liz is an individual member of Women in Retail. As an individual member, she receives discounted and priority registration to live and virtual events, exclusive members-only content, including research, event coverage, industry resources, and more, our weekly email newsletter, The Inner Circle, which we mentioned, and this is delivered on Wednesday mornings, access to our hour-long peer group calls, which we discussed, and these feature member-led discussions around industry issues, executive coaching, peer training, and more. A membership directory, including information for all members, which enables you to find mentors and connect one-on-one with other high-level members. Access to a private members-only discussion forum where you can seek advice or recommendations, post-employment opportunities, highlight attendance at an industry event, and more. An opportunity to highlight your professional strengths, talents, and wisdom in our member spotlight. You can apply for membership at womeninretail.com/apply. We also offer corporate partner memberships, which provide multiple individuals within the same organization with Women in Retail Leadership Circle memberships each year. These memberships include everything an individual member receives, plus a variety of additional benefits tailored to support leadership development and industry engagement. Corporate partners can choose the tier or support level that best suits the needs of their organization. We also offer consultant memberships and sponsored partner opportunities. If you're interested in any of these offerings, please reach out to Jennifer DePasquale at jdpasquale@napco.com. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please go to womeninretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Women in Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review our show. Lastly, if you're a female retail leader interested in joining our community at Women in Retail Leadership Circle, visit womeninretail.com/apply. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Women in Retail Talks.
Female retail leaders. Join us at the Women in Retail Leadership Summit from April 28th to the 30th at the Ritz-Carlton, Amelia Island. It's 3 days of insights, networking, and inspiration. Male listeners, share this with your female colleagues. Register at womeninretailsummit.com.